Hey guys, Chris from Stroup Knives here. We're gonna do a video tutorial today on how to sharpen a knife using a 2x72 belt grinder. So first we'll start by talking about the different belts we're gonna use and supplies we need. Start by saying we get all of our supplies from Pop's Knife Supply. These are all Hermes aluminum oxide belts. The first one, we're gonna cut that secondary bevel in with a 120 grit belt. Then we're gonna move to a 400 grit belt, and then a 600 grit belt. At this point, you're gonna have a really small little burr at the edge, and we're gonna use one of these Surgi-Sharp, It's a leather strop, but it goes on your belt sander, grinder, and it's pretty cool. It's fun to use. This is what it's gonna look like after a year of use. They're gonna stretch out, so you don't wanna ever leave it on the machine because it'll continue to stretch and stretch. So when you're done, just at least release the tension. They say to store it in this little baggie. I tried to do that for a long time. It didn't work. With your leather belt, you're gonna need some polishing compound. It's gonna come in a brick about that big. Pop's Knife Supply also carries these. This is the pink polishing compound I've tried. The white one also, the pink one just gives it the best mirror polish that I found. And once you do that a couple times on that leather strap belt, your knife is going to be super sharp. So there's going to be a link in the description to all the belts that we use and the easiest way to get them. Those are the belts that I've found. We've tried a whole bunch of different ones. That seems to work best for us. If you're watching this in like 2023, we're probably using a different brand. So maybe just shoot us a message and ask what we're using, because we're always experimenting and, you know, brands change and all this stuff. All right, we're at the grinder. We're getting ready to start. So normally I'm going to have my trusty leather apron on. Safety glasses are always on, and my respirator, especially respirator on, because you're grinding right by your face and the sparks are, it's not a lot of sparks, it's nothing to be worried about. You don't want to breathe that in. Metal dust in your lungs, rust, gross. Don't do it. A lot of times I also wear a hat if I'm doing a lot of grinding, because I don't want to catch my beautiful man hair on fire, because your scalp will start to hurt a little bit and little metal shavings. And then hearing protection. These are my favorite headphones. These are the IsoTune Pros. I like them. There's a lot of different ones out there, but the best thing about those is you can listen to death metal all day long. So the next tool we use is this little tray from Harbor Freight. I don't know if you can see in the video, but I labeled each bay on here. That number correlates to the knife, and in the big shop is the sheath for it. So I can keep the knife in the bin that I need it in. When I take it back over there, I know knife number 1 goes with sheath number 1. It's just a way to stay organized. You can number them however you want, but have a system so you don't have to bring the knife and the sheath over here.
What kind of grinders do you use, Chris?
Good question. What kind of grinders do we use? We use Wilmot grinders. This is the Quattro grinder. We have 2 of these in the shop from Chris Williams at Wilmot Grinders. These things are awesome. I couldn't think of a better grinder. I've tried many, and these are our favorites. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like we have 5 of these in our shop, and we use them all the day, every day, and they always ask for more. They're perfectly made. If you need a grinder, you couldn't ask for a better grinder. Hit up Chris, he'll take care of you. So we've changed angles, and we're about to start showing you how to physically sharpen the knife now. Wait. First, I want to say that my mom just called and asked if she could come to Blade Show with us. So I think my mom and stepdad are going to come hang out and help us sell knives at Blade Show at our booth in Atlanta in June. We're going to use the slack portion of the belt here above the grinder. Safety concern is don't stab the tip into it, because the belt is rotating this way, right towards you. So that's why when I do this, I wear a nice thick leather apron. I've never had it happen in the hundreds and hundreds of knives we've sharpened this way, but it is something to consider. Just be mindful of the tip. Don't dig it into the thing. So first we're going to start by setting our angle. So here we know we have 90 degrees. Halfway down is 45 degrees. And then you want to go about halfway down from there to about here. And it's a lot like grinding for your bevel. You're just going to hold it at that angle and just move it across. And the tip is going to follow along. Don't dwell on the tip, because the tip will burn real fast, especially on the thinner ones like this. What you can't see is I have a bucket of water off to the side. So normally what I do is I do these in big batches. So I'm going to go through and do one pass on all the knives, and while they're cooling, I go and do the other knives, and then I circle back. So for this video, I'm just doing one. So I'm going to sharpen, dip it in the water. So at this point, I'm going to turn my grinder on. I have a VFD. I'm We're gonna set it to about 50%. If you have a grinder that doesn't have a VFD, good luck. Really light pressure sharp belts. It's easy to overheat your blade. All right, that's all it takes. The 120 grit is gonna cut really fast. The blade is still cool to the touch, especially the tip. I have a nice even grind line. And as you can see, there's a nice clean burr, even all the way across. That's 120 grit. Next, we're gonna swap our belt out, which you can't see, but I have all of my belt progressions hanging on a hook right next to me on a Harbor Freight V-shape hang all. That way everything is where I need it to be and I don't have to move. You also can't see that I'm standing on a stool. I'm gonna go ahead and fire the grinder up and do 400 grit. All right, as you can see, we still have that nice clean grind line. There's no burn marks on the tip. This is our burr formed at 400 grit belt. You can see the burr along the edge of the blade. It's getting smaller and smaller, and we're gonna use that leather strop to get rid of it. All right, now we're at the 600 grit belt, our final aluminum oxide belt we're gonna use. All right, our burr is nice and small. I'm gonna go ahead and set up for the leather strop belt. All right, so now we have the leather strop belt on here. I'm gonna take my pink polishing compound, and before every knife, I just apply a little bit. Normally I'm gonna do it on the flat platen, but you can't see that in the video, so I'm just gonna take it and apply a little bit, probably on this contact wheel right here. Yeah, it doesn't take a lot. You don't wanna get too much on there because then you're gonna get a lot of buildup on the blade. So all I'm doing here is polishing the edge and taking away that final little bevel. All right, now we have a sharpened blade. So now we have a completely sharpened knife. The first test I always do when I'm just standing at the grinder that's why there's no hair on my hand. So I just make sure that it shaves hairs off of my hand. This one surely does. And then some more tests, you can just make sure it cuts through paper. I like to stab it into things and make sure the tip isn't gonna come off. There's all kinds of tests we can do, but this thing is mighty sharp. You can't see Sarah behind you, but I'll tell you, what was it, Tuesday? I think Tuesday she came into work. It was Monday.
First thing.
She came into work. She hadn't been here for more than 5 minutes. We had a knife we had to do some little touch-ups on that was already sharpened. And I wasn't in there. I was in here grinding. But I walked in and there was a giant cut all the way across her finger and into her nail a little bit. The doctor said it was such a clean cut that it was really easy to fix up. She said luckily the knife was so sharp that it cut all the way to the bone with very little pressure and it didn't have a frayed cut or anything. So
Sliced, didn't tear.
It sliced right through, no tears. So this method works. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions. Please, if you like what we're doing, follow us on our channel here and head over to Instagram to follow along with our knife making journey or our website, stroupknives.com, S-T-R-O-U-P. Thanks a lot, guys.